Welcome to Shooting the Shift. You'll notice that Matt isn't with us this week. He's having a granddad nap because we've been making him work night shifts at the day job. I'm Bam. That's Bryn. That's Milton.
Hello.
And this week we're gonna do drifting for dummies because as much as I film these guys going drifting quite regularly, I know nothing. So it's time for me to learn a new skill, and then maybe one day see if I can put them into practice in the real world. So I think we need to open up with drifting. Where did it start?
Well, I'm not the biggest history geek on it. I should do because it's like my favourite thing. I thought it started off in Japan on the racetrack by a racer. He was winning the races and had huge leads. So on the last laps, he was always drifting because it was fun. And then he stopped racing and started drifting more and keeping the car sideways even more. Ken Tsushima Mora blah 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 blah.
You mean Keiichi Tsuchiya?
That's the fella.
The Drift King, as they call him. I mean, it's either that or the whole, it started on the mountain roads, people going fast and kind of edge of control. It may be one of those things. It may be neither of those things, but those are the two that people usually say.
Okay, so that's fair. So, all right, we've done the history bit. It's sliding around a mountain road. I would personally rather grip drive around a mountain road, and that's different tastes. Different strokes for different folks, as they say.
It is. I mean, that's what drifting really is, isn't it? Because, I mean, it's most similar to like skateboarding or BMXing or something. It's the rebels motorsport in a way. It's for people who just want to show off, be silly, and have fun, and don't want to go fast.
It's a form of. It's not the fastest way around the corner, but it's the most fun.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. Like, stepping the back end out a little bit is fun. But so this is the thing I've never got about drifting, right? You have races, but you've got a panel of judges that decide who wins. So
it's there's a few series that aren't, but most of them that I know of anyway, it's not a race, it's a judged sport.
Okay.
It's
like figure skating, right?
Yeah.
I hate to admit, yeah. It's judged on who does the best run. They're looking for certain criteria. It's usually judged off line, speed, style, and what's the other one, Bryn?
Angle,
that's the one. So they want to see people going as fast as possible, on the most angle, on the line that they want, which is not necessarily in the middle of the track, on the edge or the inside, but they will tell you where they want to see you, and you've got to put the car there.
So who decides that line? Can I turn up? Can I choose the line because I know nothing?
It'll be decided by the judges in the driver's briefing, you get told.
But if we set up our own series, right, you guys could let me choose the line knowing nothing.
You could choose the line. If you choose a line not based on what's actually drivable, you'll probably find it's a complete shit show.
That's the thing with drifting. When you see cars really close together, that's usually because there's a lead line that's actually easy to follow. You can't have a good chase without a good lead.
Okay.
And that's why there's kind of a bit of a diversion between what people call competition style drifting and grassroots style drifting, because in competition you're kind of picking the line to make chasing really good if you can. You're picking something that's smooth, wide, keeps the lead car on a really nice wide line so that it's easy for the chase car to catch up, because at the end of the day you just want to see two cars really close together.
So like, how does the scoring, what is it, like out of 5, out of 10, out of 1,000,000?
I think everyone starts, the lead line always starts off, I think it's on 100, and every mistake from there they get down, or they could start with nothing and then it's just judged on out of 10. Isn't it for battles, Bryn?
It depends on the series, really, depending on how they do it. But generally speaking, drifting competitions certainly come in two parts. There's the sort of qualifying part, which is all about hitting that line that the judges are looking for, and that's where you're usually scored out of 100. Some series you start off with 100 points and you lose points every time you do something they don't like, and some series you gain points for doing things. So that's kind of the qualifying thing.
I'm maybe gonna throw a slightly not cool, controversial question out here now.
Go for it.
Given we know show trophies, right, are very open to who's mates with the show organizer type awarding.
I know what you're hinting at, but I'll let you ask.
Is that a feeling that you get, that people get at drift events, or is it seen to be legit and fair?
Are you saying that it's rigged or some way, or leans towards rigged?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely not.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Any judge series, you're going to get that, but you've just got to hope that the judges you pick are fairly impartial. Like, if I was a judge in a series, I would not be marking up my friends, and I would. Like, I think I would be a pretty big arsehole to everybody on track. Like, if I'm a judge, nobody is scoring above like a
I've got a feeling, right? I've got a feeling, Bryn, that you would probably judge like I manage Matt. I have to make it look like Matt isn't getting preferential treatment, so I treat him worse than everybody else.
That's the problem. It's quite hard to balance that, because there's a lot of drivers, and judges are usually people that have driven or are drivers, or because they need to. So you can't just for example, you wouldn't be a very good judge because you don't know the sport, and that
was some cool shit that I don't think I could do, and then I'd be like plus 300 points because I don't know how it works.
Which, if you've seen, was it the Formula Drift Battle Skills video, or whatever it was? There was like a guy in that they got to judge some of the things, and he knew nothing. Absolutely. Oh no, it was one of Ryan Turk's Turked videos. And they were like, we're going to do the backwards entry competition. This guy literally thought they were all going to come in reverse or something. He had no idea. He was giving a random
point. We are doing drifting for dummies.
Okay.
And backwards entries is something that I'm like, people go, that was a really sick backwards entry. And in my head, I genuinely do what that guy does and goes, I weren't fucking going in reverse. That's not impressive.
All right, well, back up a bit then on actually what is drifting. Drifting is getting a car sideways. At the end of the day, that's what it is. It's about showing off. It's about having fun and scaring the shit out of yourself. Okay.
Do you want the technical explanation, Bryn?
Go on.
Wait, Milts, let me have a go at it, right? Drifting is the art of being permanently on the edge of losing control.
Is what people say when they're a fanny.
I think the technical is when the rear slip angle is greater than the front slip angle.
Is it? Yeah. Okay.
All right, I mean, hang on a minute. Milton just did science.
Yeah, he did.
Redneck science.
This is a weird episode because I've been accused of being the fanny, and that's normally Milton's job. Milton's just does science, and that's normally Bryn's job.
So Bryn gonna look something up and have a nap. Hi Matt, we miss you.
We do miss Matt, and in Matt's defence, like, he has been running night shifts for quite a while, so like
just so he can build his RX-7, so I'll give him credit for it.
Yeah. Well, he's doing that thing you got to do to make money to build race cars, so
he's being an adult, so
as much as we jest, we're just
Matt, you better comment on this video.
Yeah, we're just getting out everything where we've been nice to him for the last few weeks because we understand what he's doing, while he's not here to be upset by it.
So what is drifting?
What is drifting, Bryn?
It's just going sideways and having fun with the car.
Yeah, it's going sideways and having fun. That is what it is, and it's as simple as that. It's a way of having a lot of fun in a car without necessarily being particularly good at it, which is one way I've always looked at it. Like if you do circuit racing or any grip thing, getting better involves going faster and faster around a corner. That shit is scary, right?
It's not scary.
That is really scary. I don't like that. And it involves being, thinking about it, thinking about your lines. If you talk to grip people, they're always thinking, I could go a little bit wider there and tuck in there, and you get that line. Whereas drifting is kind of just, people say it's like expression. It's just being kind of silly on track.
That's why a lot of BMXers and skateboarders go from that to drifting. Because it's expressive and
it's expressive. You don't need discipline. You're not there's less rules than other kinds of motorsport. But in a way, I mean, even in the drift world, there's people who tell you have to do this and you can't do it like that. Like handbrakes, you should never use the handbrake. But the whole fun of drifting is you can do whatever the hell you like.
So getting onto handbrakes, right? Lots of you run hydros. Some of you have a little magic little button on the tip of your handbrake. Some of you have talked to me about clutch kicking to initiate the drift. What's the best way to initiate a drift?
Whatever works for the corner and whatever you enjoy.
It's people that get onto the handbrake thing. It's a tool. Using the handbrake is a tool.
So right. So we're going out in the car. We go out in my car because you lot aren't going to let me drive your cars on the first ever go.
Mm-hmm.
I would.
Right. All right, then. We'll go out in Milton's car because I don't want to write off an R-Limited.
Mm-hmm.
And Milton's car's worth about 3p.
Hey, the shell is.
Yeah, exactly. So I've just got to replace the shell if I break it.
So you're on track.
Yeah. Talk me through what you're going to tell me to do.
It kind of depends on what's coming up. There's a bunch of different ways of initiating a drift. Just by the way, I hate the term adrift. Drifting is multiple slides linked together. You can't do one drift. It's a plural by definition. Fuck.
That is not what a guy at McDonald's told me, Bryn.
Yeah, I know. I really hate it. People say, I did a drift. Oh, you can't do a drift. You can do a slide. Anyway, so there's a bunch of different ways to initiate a drift. And it kind of depends on what's coming up. There's loads of different, techniques. People talk about loads of different words. But when you're just starting out, the two main things you're going to do are a clutch kick, which is where you kind of drive into the corner, steer in, put the clutch in while you're still on the power, and then let go of the clutch, essentially. And that shocks the back tyres loose and the car starts to slide.
So effectively a racing start while I'm moving.
Yeah, that's probably how you'll start.
It's even more aggressive. It's called a clutch kick because it's on-off. It's not even... Yeah. You're not dipping it and lifting off. It's on-off. It's fastest quick gear change you've ever done without taking it out of gear.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a stab. You're just on the throttle and on the clutch. And as you start getting better and better, you add more things to it. But let's keep it simple and just say you're doing that. Then the car's going to very suddenly start to step out and you counter steer and catch it. That's one of the easiest ways. And that's, if you're starting an MX-5, which has no fucking power, that's what you're going to do. And the other thing you can do that everybody knows is you pull on the handbrake. And that does the exact opposite. That stops the rear wheels so that they lose grip and the car starts to slide. And handbrake is easy. It's really, really easy.
It's predictable. That's the good thing about it. A clutch kick can change on how you might enter with loads of angle. So you could be really sideways because you kicked it harder or you was dipping the clutch for longer. So it's very... Sometimes, till you get it, it's quite hard to do.
Okay.
But the most important thing is just shocking the back end loose, getting the car moving.
Brake and traction.
Other ways you can do it, and once you start getting used to it, you won't just clutch kick and handbrake anymore. You'll start doing little Scandinavian flicks, feints, and things as they're called. But those are your main things. You just want to get the back end of the car loose somehow.
Right. So then you've mentioned the interesting. So you've mentioned the MX-5, right? And we mention it every week, and I'm hoping the answer's still going to be MX-5. But if you're going to get started, you're going to start out, you want a car to go drifting in, what do you need in the car?
A welded diff, and that's it. To start, genuinely, even on an MX-5, they've got no power and not much steering lock. the worst car you start. Well, I say the worst. The car with the least amount of angle and the least amount of power means when you get more power and more angle, you will be better with it.
Okay.
So it kind of depends on what you're looking for. If you're serious about drifting, starting with something like an MX-5, a little crappy underpowered car, is going to be really good for you. If you just want to go out and have a skid and you want something easy, you're not going to want to start with an MX-5 because they are a bit harder to drive.
So given I'm never ever gonna drive competition drift because I'm too old and fat, basically. Like, what if I just want to go out and have some fun with you boys? What should I go out and buy?
BMW E36, although I won't let you anywhere near me on the track.
Why?
Or an E46.
Is that?
Or if you've
you're
got
not
more
letting me
money,
anywhere near you out on the track because it's me, or because of the car?
because of the car.
They kind of have a reputation because they're cheap, easy, very easy to get hold of. If they're what you buy, if you don't care and just want to crash into your mates.
If you want to spend a bit of money,
No, actually, to be fair, knowing how hard he's worked for it, I wouldn't crash into Matt's RX-7.
He'll be in the pits anyway. I'm only joking, Matt. I'm only joking.
Alright, so I've gone out, bought my E36 because I'm too
We need
old.
to backtrack a bit, Bam.
Okay.
Because I would first start off with in the playpens,
Okay.
and I would get you doing donuts.
That was actually my next question, Milton. So
Because-
I've gone out, I bought my E36.
Yep.
Bought my E36. I've maybe bought. Well, I've got my helmet for going out on track. Do I need a helmet? Do I not need a helmet?
Yep.
Do I want a helmet? Do I need better visibility?
You want a helmet. You don't need it for like donuts and stuff, but you probably
Okay.
want a helmet for track.
And then cage or not?
Not for starting out.
Not for starting out, right? Okay, so E36, no helmet, free bearding, fucking brilliant, love it. And then Milton said it. That was my next thing. Do I just like rock up to Pod, formally rocking him, and go? I want to go on the big boy track.
It's not formally Rockingham. Rockingham's just a different track, and it's the best one ever.
But it's
Rest in peace.
a car
But
park
not
now.
for learning out.
No, it's not. Because it's... So you go to Pods, best
Yeah.
place to learn, drift what you brung. You'll sign on, do your driver's briefing. They'll just tell you about health and safety and what you're allowed to do and stuff. You get in your playpens, and there's playpens, and basically it's just you and an empty tarmac. Just
Okay.
like a car park, basically. Just means you're allowed to do it, and you're not going to hit anyone or anything. And I would start you off just doing donuts.
So can I take one of you guys out in the car with me? Or do I have to just go out there and make a fool of myself trying to do donuts?
You could do both. You can go on your own. It depends. Some people learn by just doing. Some people need advice.
I do.
To
'cause
say.
I'm like an idiot if it doesn't involve grip. I can
And
go through a
you
corner
just-
as fast as I want because I'm an idiot and I don't think about what could happen if it goes wrong. So to Bryn's point earlier, like for me, grip driving is natural expression. It's something that just happens.
Which is weird, actually. Very quick tangent. I've spoken to people who like are properly into grip driving, and they go, "I couldn't do what you guys did. I don't know how you can throw a car sideways like at walls like that, and it doesn't scare you." Well, I'm like, I don't know how you can go around a corner that fast and it doesn't scare you. Going towards a wall, not bothered. Corner fast. Oh no, thank you, sir.
That's a really good point. My best friend,
thing works, isn't it?
he rides bikes. Bikes are scary anyway.
But no.
But I let him have a go in the playpen, and he started to get it, but he couldn't keep the throttle on. He kept trying to lift off to regain grip. The hardest thing to teach him was to keep the wheels spinning.
I think that's going to be the hardest bit for me because I will adjust pedal positions as much as I need to keep the grip in balance when I'm going through a corner as fast as my bollocks will let me, basically.
There's kind of a style of drifting for that. You can kind of do whatever you want. If you're into drifting and you've decided I want to go sideways, then you will go sideways. And some people like loads and loads of throttle and big angle and smoke everywhere. And like our friend Malks, who's
glad you yes.
Yeah, this guy's a racing instructor and he decided to get into drifting and he drives like a racing instructor. He is so fucking fast with barely any angle because he's constantly modulating the throttle and getting that grip. And I've seen him be rocking them at just stupid speeds on the infield, but sliding still because he's so good at that, keeping it on the edge of grip.
I've been drifting about 5-6 years now. Been in passenger cars with pro drivers. Being in the passenger seat of Malcolm's car was the most scared I've ever been. There's a photo of me, and I'm holding on to the oh fuck handle, and I'm holding on as tight as possible.
Genuinely one of my favourite things to do when filming. This is why one of the reasons I wanted to do drifting for dummies, because I'm the dummy in this situation. I don't know it, right? And I'll accept that. Is because when I go out in Milton's car to film from the passenger seat, there's just something about it. There's a bit of a... I get a very similar sense of freedom to what I get when I'm driving a mountain road in Mexico. Really importantly, not in the UK.
Well, there's no mountains here, so it couldn't be here.
Actually,
there's some in North Wales, mate. I've checked.
Play the game.
You know, and it's just that. It's that same sense of freedom and adventure, but I don't need to drive 1,000 million miles to go and experience that. I can sit. I could drive down to a track. You know, Pod's not 1,000,000 miles away, and go out and have a play. I certainly need a different car because the Spike won't drift. I mean, we can try and make the Spike drift, but it's not going to go well.
Yeah.
And the Stagia, maybe the Stagia, like
it's all-wheel drive, isn't it?
Yeah, 4-wheel drive.
So it'll do power slides.
So there we go. So drifting in 4-wheel drive, not a good idea, bad idea.
It's completely different. A lot of people wouldn't really call it drifting. You can definitely slide around in a 4-wheel drive. You're going to struggle to slide around in a 4-wheel drive with people in rear-wheel drive cars. Yeah. It's just completely different speed. So no, you don't really want to use a 4-wheel drive.
Right. So don't drift the 4-wheel drive. So we're back on rear-wheel drive. So we're still with my BMW E36.
Yeah, you can drift a 4-wheel drive, but that's a completely different thing. Okay. So we're gonna leave that over there.
We'll keep it simple because
just
I'm
to
a
the
dummy.
side. Yeah.
For now, until I'm better at drifting than all of you, on account of my svelte figure. But only turning one way because all the weight's on one side of the car.
You should do NASCAR then, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I could just turn left forever, boys. That's
you wouldn't need to steer. You wouldn't need to steer. You sit in the left-hand side of the car.
Quick, let's get me into a NASCAR. Sod drifting for drummies. Let's go with something I can win at.
I'd love to try NASCAR.
So I've got my E36. I've gone doing donuts with Milton in a paddock at Pod. I've not tried to drift my Stagia because it's a bad plan. We sort of talked about scoring a little bit, but then just drift days, chilling out, having fun with the boys.
Oh yeah,
that's fun. That's the best bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we said, it's kind of like it's expression. It's letting your hair down, and it is the best part is when you get good enough to start partying with your mates on track,
or not your mates, and then they become your friends. Because we've got a friend who Bryn's going to say the team name in a minute.
What? Because you can't pronounce it. Team Incomplete.
There was a guy. His name's Dan, and we was at Rockingham, and he was skidding, and I thought I'm going to chase him. And I did, and he's probably one of the closest people I've ever got to on a proper track. And I'd never met him before, and I didn't even know what he looked like until the other day when we was talking, playing Assetto Corsa. So I was sitting right next to him on his door, and now we talk all the time on Discord and drifting and stuff.
And that's kind of what happens at a drift day. You meet people at drift days, but you meet them on track long before you meet them in person. You'll be out on track and you kind of notice someone, like you like their car, or you like the way they drive, or you come up behind them and their line's kind of good and you think, I'm going to start playing with this person. And you'll do a few sessions and you'll tend to swap over and get close, and you'll have a couple of, like, not moments, but, like moments. And then you'll find them in the pits and introduce yourself and say, hello, I've just been trying to destroy our cars. We've never met. And that's how it works.
Right. Yeah, so I'm the guy in the blue car. Oh, that was you.
Yeah.
So you've you've mentioned something, right, that confuses the living hell out of me as a grip driver. Trying to destroy your cars. That
was bad wording, and it was more play on words.
So this thing about, I've got another friend outside of these guys who will remain nameless for the reasons that are about to leave my mouth.
You have another friend?
Yes. I've got friends, Milton, outside of you guys.
Okay. Strange. Weird. Wevs. Not jealous.
It's alright. I've got videography friends, Milton. If I tried to talk to you about cameras for hours on end, I know what happens, because I send you pictures, you go, look at my new camera kit, and you go, oh yeah, it's kind of cool, and you're not into it. I send my camera friends.
The one you sent me the other day had a really good aspect ratio.
Oh, don't you start. Don't you start.
I have no idea.
So and this guy goes, oh, it's all about door tapping, and you're not wall tapping properly unless the bumper comes off, and I'm just like, I don't want to do that to my car.
Yeah, so that's kind of where your typical kind of
BMW owner.
Yeah, BMW reputation. It's just because,
to clarify, they own an MX-5.
Well, MX-5s are kind of another one, unfortunately, because they are so cheap. But because it's just about being silly and it's about just enjoying yourself. Some people take it more like the Demolition Derby. It's a cheap car and they have fun crashing into their friends. That's one thing. The other thing is you actually love your car. You don't really want to crash into anyone, but you're kind of willing for that to happen to get close and enjoy it.
There's a post came out the other day it was on Instagram stories, and it was by Taylor Ray, and he gave a drifting public service announcement. The difference between a door tap and a crash. A door tap is where the chase driver's wheel just touches and leaves a tyre mark. That's it. Doesn't dent the bodywork. A crash is when the door gets caved in, or the quarter panel, or the bumper. Okay. You want to it's a skill to be able to touch them and be that close to them that you can hit without leaving permanent damage, and it's just rubber from your lead wheels touching.
This is equivalent to me when I'm out driving, being right up someone's arse using their draft so I can go around them. Yeah, kind of thing.
Yes, without
that level of
crash.
Control of not smashing their rear end in.
Yeah. So you're following someone into a corner right on the bumper, and you brake enough so you don't use their brakes.
Yeah, it's like, so yeah, okay, I can kind of get that. So I will get right up someone's backside, drop down 2 gears to gain a little bit of power, and drop me back a bit from engine braking, and then twat my foot down and go round them. So I can kind of get the precision driving in that. And I can appreciate the level of skill that requires, right?
There's times when you're on someone's door and you could be doing, not word of a lie, 5 different things at the same time. Okay. Especially in a turbo car, or even in any car, you'll be steering. Your right foot will be on the throttle, but you'll also be braking with your right foot as well.
Left foot?
No, right foot, but blipping the throttle. Left foot will be on the clutch. Oh, can't you do that? Right foot on the brake and blip the throttle.
My leg moves to those angles.
You can heel and toe.
Yeah.
You've got a video of me doing it against Luke Woodham. Anyway, so you're on the foot brake with one foot. You're blipping the throttle to keep the revs up. You're on the clutch and you're balancing the car on the hydro. So you're on and off the clutch to keep the car at the same angle, but keep the engine speed up and the wheel speed up as much as possible.
So I have dared to say on multiple occasions to you guys, normally in jest, but there's always been there's a little bit of truth to what someone thinks when they joke about stuff. I've said I think drifting's for idiots on multiple occasions, right? But actually talking about it like that, and that's something that other people haven't ever bothered to explain to me, like sideways fun, sideways good. That's kind of the level I get out of most people, which is why I wanted to do this episode. So that level of pedal work is actually, you know, heel toeing and being on your clutch and using a handbrake or using a hydro. That's a complex set of skills, and I'm willing to accept that actually requires quite a lot of skill.
There's some people. I do think a lot about driving because I don't want to crash because it's quite expensive. So I'm always thinking. But you kind of, as you go along, you do muscle memory. You're not really thinking. You just do it. But even in grip racing, you've got to think of the conditions of the tarmac and stuff.
Yeah.
But
I think this is that thing where Bryn said before about all his friends that are into grip into grip think about things, right? They think about how they can hit that best angle. I suspect actually the reason I don't think about it is I've been doing it since I was 7. It's all muscle memory. It's all just natural. It comes to me. I see a corner. I go, that's the fucking apex. That's where I want to hit it. But
also, I mean, even with drifting, like Milton says, there's things you can think about. But certainly for me, one of the things that I enjoy is that you don't have to. If you want to get better at grip driving and you want to shave time off of your laps, you have to start thinking about it and planning how you're going to do corners. Whereas when I drive, I don't want to do that. I spend all of my professional time thinking. I get on track and I just want to have fun. Where with drifting, you can have fun without having to be serious in that way. You can have a real good time just by scaring yourself by throwing the car in harder, or you can think about it. And I do both of those things.
Yeah.
But there's more ways to be better at it than being clinical. You can just like going balls out and sitting on the start line and going, I'm just going to fucking go for this and find out what happens.
Because at Pod there's different tarmac because obviously it's an old airfield. There's Bryn will know because he's been there. Top corner we call it. It's got because it goes up and down, but you go across it. There's tarmac changes, and in the wet, as you get through to the fastest bit, it changes and you actually lose grip. So, especially even an underpowered car, you almost sort of aim for that area to lose grip, so then the wheel speed will pick up. And the revs will pick up, but then you'll get more angle. So you'll be going along, you're holding your ankle, you've got it settled in the corner, and then suddenly you'll have to go, whoop, because the rear end has started to come around because of the loss of grip. Okay. And it's a constant thinking of... That's how I see it, anyway.
But that's the thing. There's both of those. That's the thing. A lot of people who are into grip just, see it as, it's not the fastest way around the corner. I don't get it. There's no point. And you're right. There is no point. It's not the fastest way around the corner. And you don't have to get it. But also, if you are serious about it, you can really deep dive and use all those same kind of skills to do it well.
I mean, from my point of view, so like, I get the point of it. It's beautiful to look at. It's figure skating. I'm surprised you don't all wear leotards. But...
Well...
Alright, so Bryn clearly does at the weekend, but Milton's got his on now.
This is a leotard.
Yeah.
Available from redbubble.com.
That's some rad merch that he's wearing right there.
Yeah. Rad merch. So actually, while we're on the subject of merch, right? We put out the video last week, and within an hour of the video going live, some guy came on and bought every single one of the remaining government advisory stickers.
Wow, they got all of them.
All 4 of them, bagged them in one go. So to that guy, well played, really appreciate it. You really want to win something, and I really want to see the sticker stack of just all 4 of them, right? Yep. And if you get in touch with us, if you drop us a message or drop us a comment on this video, what we'll do, I will custom cut you a vinyl sticker that says, I really wanted to win.
Yep.
right? And we'll jam it in the post to you. We've already got your dress. Lots of other stickers. Lots of other stickers help you win, because we never gave Milton one of those government advisory stickers, and he won that year. But
I got the street racing. It's not a crime. The circle.
Yeah, that's
and
a general stock sticker, so that'll never go out of stock.
And then I did get one slap. I can't remember what it was. It's on the car
I think
still.
that was the generic, the very first slap we ever printed. With
It was
just
a
the
VRS
violent
one.
running, the streets are ours, the white border.
That one, yeah. And then I won the FBS 2018 championship.
Yeah.
So not just a race, I won a whole championship because I got two
But
stickers.
he was,
so.
the day when he won that, he was also wearing a rad cap, so you need to go give money both sides of the fence. But back to so wall tap, right? Wall tap. This is I get it. I get the concept of it. I understand.
A wall tap.
Wall tap.
I heard water. Sorry,
Sorry, I've been drinking again, Bryn, so I might.
Yeah. So that's an easy one. That's the same as before with the door tap. It's a sign of precision, I would say.
Okay.
If you can be going at a speed, and it's usually corner exit or corner entry, and you can position your car, 1.5 tons of metal and engines and fire and boom, to just scrape top layers of paint off on the wall, on the bumper, is a sign of precision.
So, and this is the thing to me. If you scrape the top layers of paint off, for me, you've hit the wall. What I would be far more impressed by is if you put, the side of a matchstick box, right? If you put that material all over your bumper, and then you covered the wall with matches, and then you just lit all the matches, because you'd be within a gnat's hair, right, of the wall, and I would find that significantly more impressive, and there would be fire.
Well, on that, there's a guy, Nakamura, quite often in a track called Mayhan. Bryn, Mayhan?
I'm not Japanese. Pick your favourite.
Someone tell us how we pronounce that in the comments.
They should know what it is. Basically, it's a straight into a right-hander that gets tighter. But the entry he does with a spoiler on it at the right hand, he can make the spoiler end plates drag on the top of the concrete wall without the bumper hitting, and knock bottles over or beer cans off the edge of it.
I mean, at one point he was putting those little titanium strips on the wings so that they would spark off the top of the wall.
And it wasn't a 1 or 2 ton thing. He could, if he want, he could do it at near 1 out of 2 runs.
And I get that, and I'm willing to accept that is skill. The thing that gets me about it is there seem to be people who go, well, if I get the paint off, maybe if I take the whole bumper off, that's more skill, and it's not. But they seem really proud of the fact that they destroyed their car.
It's just what's in your personality, isn't it? Some people are naturally quite destructive, so for them...
Bryn, you've met me, right? You know I'm naturally destructive, and I'm sat there going, no.
But it just depends on what you find fun, isn't it? Like, for me, I don't particularly want to destroy the thing, but I think, I don't know, there's that... It's that adrenaline of getting that close to the wall and not crashing it is adrenaline. When you get back to the pits and you find that you've just taken that bit of paint off the bumper, the feeling that puts inside you is, not only did I get really close to the wall, the paint's missing off the bumper. Holy shit, I was this close to crashing into that wall. Oh my God, that's wild.
Whereas I would go, oh shit, the car needs a respray.
Yeah.
Because when you hit the wall when you mean to, you just damage the paintwork. But if you hit it a little bit harder, it drags the rear end and it can pull your front in and you crash.
Okay.
That's the fine. We've got a video, we don't need to post it, but it's on Rad's channel, where he's following me at Rockingham, and I kissed the wall just tiniest bit, but because my bumper's on cable ties, it knocks it off. But there was no damage. It was just that tweak, and it was fun.
Okay. So we've talked about destructive tendencies. We've talked about how to get started. We've talked about all that stuff. So
there's loads more on getting started.
No, I know, and we're getting through it.
There's a difference on the donuts. Look, anyone can do donuts.
Okay.
We call them Asbo donuts. You put steering lock on, put your foot to the floor, and just let it spin round, and like Australian burnout style.
Yeah.
When I say donuts, is I want you to do a donut with counter steer and control how far away from a cone you are, and then you move on to, by putting more throttle on and less angle, you do 10 foot away from the cone, and then I want you to be able to bring it back in to 1 foot away from the cone. And when you can do that consistently, that means you're in control of the car. You're not just foot planted and just burning the tyres off.
Okay, so...
And then you get onto transitions, and that's a whole ball game on its own.
So
and once you can do that...
Actually, thinking about it, so one of my first things I ever saw of drifting, and I'm going to go into a controversial area here, I suspect, with Her Majesty's Constabulary, was... you've all lived around Nottingham. So
Well,
you know...
I did.
Yeah, okay, so you know the flyover on the, I think it's the A50, that's just over the top, a single lane road that curls around there. Have you seen the video that you probably, if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about now. So some guy comes into that, speedo at 60, 70 mile an hour.
A skyline.
I don't know what it was. I was far too busy thinking, that guy has the biggest set of fucking bollocks on any man that has ever lived to hit that bit of road at that speed sideways.
It's at night, isn't it?
No, it's in broad daylight.
It's a different video then. There's a guy that enters into a bypass and goes up and around and then comes back down.
No, it's like a one sweeping road that just brings you round from like one bit up to, comes up towards a bridge and then drops back down by where Nottingham Trent Uni's campus is, Bryn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know the bit.
Yeah. So the first thing is Street-O.
Street-O is bad. Your kids are going to get cancer. It's shit.
Thanks for the bleep again, Milton. Really appreciate it.
He's not wrong, though.
No, he's not wrong. He's not.
So we'll bleep that bit out.
Yeah. He's not wrong.
And then
he is right. It is...
Street-O is really bad. It's
really dangerous.
There's two things about Street-O, right? It's really dangerous, stupid, antisocial, you could hurt somebody, all of that stuff, right? You do see street drift videos that are actually really impressive. They're really, really cool, and you can watch them and enjoy them, and actually, you can respect what's going on.
Appreciate the skill.
The difference is 90% of people doing Street-O is not only dangerous and irresponsible, but it's also really fucking disappointing.
Yeah,
there's no big sweeping corners that you can hit at high speed and link into something else. You just do quite a slow corner on an industrial estate followed by a roundabout.
Or it's roundabouts in first gear and it's wet and it's night and it's not the best.
And you're in a Mark II MX-5 and it's going really slowly. Like the video we all saw recently on Facebook.
On TikTok, yeah.
Problem. People who like to talk about Street-O generally are doing disappointing roundabout skids at night, and you're like, cool, could we just not? People who don't talk about Street-O, they probably do good Street-O. And I kind of have an ounce of respect for them, but it's still not a good idea.
And crucially, those people don't film it. And if they've got to make a decision between hitting someone else's car or ploughing themselves into a wall, will choose the wall every time.
Yeah. And also it's not just usually it's crap videos and not very good driving. It also is the general public will say, not the people in the sport, will see it and go, Street-O is they're hooligans and it's bad and they're going to run my kids over.
Yeah.
And they all, because they only ever see the roundabout warriors, as we call them, in a wet, and it's...
And you can never... So one of the things I like to think about is control the things you can control. And you never have full control over anything you do out in the street. I know,
because in Japan, they do actually have spotters and radios which probably does, they say, right, stop, there's traffic coming up. And when it's clear, which is fine.
And that's different. Like the street drifting people are doing out in Japan are literally up in the mountains or down in the dockyards, and there's people there, and it's a pretty big thing. That is very different to around an industrial estate.
It is. It's totally different. Closing a road.
It is clever. Like if you're going to close roads with organised people, that's clever. But it's not big.
No, basically what we're saying is,
but really,
we need to keep it on track.
Yeah.
The only other reason is because all the Karens and Kens in the world will say they're doing street drifting. I don't want them on the track because they're going to do drifting on the roads, not the track, because the track will make them fun and blah blah blah.
And actually, as much as I was messing around there with the walkie-talkies, they are for when we're at events and I need to raise Milton from the other side of a show and go, can I bring a competition winner to you now? That's actually what those are used for. I was just winding Bryn up a little bit to see his little grumpy face happen.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's risk versus reward.
Yeah.
The risk involved in street drifting versus the reward, in my opinion, certainly, is just not any fucking way near.
Also, on that, it's your skill will never improve as quickly. You could do a month worth of Streeto.
Yeah.
You will gain all that practice back within an hour at Santa Pod or any track because, one, you don't have to keep stopping and running away from police. You don't have to worry about getting caught, and you don't have to worry about curbs and crashing. And it's consistent seat time. All you need to do is focus on having fun and drifting.
I think that's like getting out on the track, driving, or going to an auto solo like we talked about last week. That's one of the most valuable things you can do for your driving skill because you're in a more controlled environment, right?
And everyone else around you is also in that mindset of we're all going sideways now.
Yeah, exactly. And, Doris in her Honda Jazz ain't going sideways anytime soon.
No.
So, all right. So Streeto bad. We're back out on track. Got my E46. I've done my donuts with Milts. I've controlled my donuts. I've not done Asbo donuts.
You've learned your precision. That's the key thing.
The next thing, Bryn wants me to link some donuts together.
Figure eights and things.
Transitions.
Transitions. In my opinion, as I said, you can't do a drift. You cannot do a drift. The transition is what makes drifting. You get a lot of old boys, especially, saying, getting the arse end of the car out in a corner is really easy. Yeah, it's pretty easy. And then making it go the other way and still getting around the next corner, that's the hard part. And then doing that again, and then again, and again, and then doing 3 more laps of it. Keeping a car sideways, and transitions are the key to that.
Okay. So going into the transition, what, the same thing as how I started? Am I doing something different? What am I doing?
I mean, do you want to take this one or shall I?
I think it's kind of going to be both of us. But when you're starting out, you're going to do quite slow, simple transitions. There's a few ways of doing it which are varying degrees of a good idea. But generally, the idea is you look where you want to go, just as in grip racing. You've decided you want to take that next corner, you start looking towards it. And you're probably going to come off the power a bit so that the car starts to try and grip up a little. Keep it simple. We're not going to do anything wild with the steering. Just follow what the car's doing. And as it starts to come round on you and you're kind of getting towards straight, you put the power back on again so that you're losing your grip and sliding. That's a simple transition. It's slow and the car does most of its steering. And that's probably how you're going to start off.
Lift off transitions.
The other way that you might start off, because it's kind of natural to people, is you're going to lift off the throttle the whole way. The car's going to grip up quite quickly and you're going to end up doing some quite quick transitions. And a lot of people do this because it's natural. You don't want to be sliding anymore. You want to start sliding the other way. You lift off the throttle. But it's a bit... This is where you see people doing all elbows and indicators and wipers start going because you have to really quickly catch up with the wheel as you're lifting off and going all over the place like that.
Bryn makes a good point. If you're ever watching from the outside and you see someone's really trying and you see their wipers start going on and it's a perfectly dry day or indicators are suddenly on and they're on 2-3 laps later, they've had a flap and they've gone, I'm going to crash now, when they've had to gather it up. It means they've hit the indicators, but they're so focused on not crashing, they don't even notice that it's indicating.
So the moral of the story for that, for me, right, as novice drifter, is as I pull onto the track, put my wipers on. Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
So if anybody sees a fat guy with a beard in an E46 out on track with the wipers on all the time, it's me.
Yeah, but then we'll know when your wipers turn off that you've had a panic.
Yeah. Well, they suddenly slow down.
I'm caught out. All right.
It's transitions.
Yeah.
When you forgot the important bit, is almost because most people forget is you've just got to let go of the wheel.
Yeah, that's kind of a big thing. Actually, it's a good thought.
The hardest thing to teach someone is you have to let go of the wheel when you're thinking, I'm doing 50 miles an hour sideways here. You want me to let go of the wheel while the car's rotating around the front.
I can see the logic in that. I let go of the wheel to gather up a bit every now and again.
Because the suspension alignment is designed to make the wheels turn in. You know, no matter, even He-Man couldn't turn the wheel faster than steering geometry can.
Yeah,
no, exactly. Yeah. And I get that logic. That makes sense to my grip brain. The difference is you then want to go beyond the central point to link the next one, right?
It's catch and release.
Yeah, then you're starting to get onto more stuff, but the whole steer from the rear thing holds true. Ultimately, where your car's actually going is controlled by the throttle. It's not really the steering. So like Milton says, you have to get used to letting go of the wheel and actually letting the car steer itself. If you watch somebody who's very good at drifting, linking laps, it's not like grip driving. They're not hard on the wheel and doing all of this. Actually, it's soft touches. It's barely doing anything to the wheel. Occasionally you'll guide it a lot of the time because the car is doing a lot of the self-steering. That's to do slow laps. I'm trying to avoid getting into steering work because there's a lot of other things on.
Yeah.
If you watch me do transitions, as Milton does as well, like if you watch somebody trying to do a fast transition, then the steering wheel comes back into it. Because as well as that, gently coming off the throttle and all of that stuff, if you want to make the car transition quickly and snappy, you help
steer into it.
Yeah, as you're about to go into the next corner, you give it more counter steer, and then the car starts to try and straighten up. And at the same time, you'll come off the throttle. You might even dip the clutch if you're really getting snappy, just to get the grip back in the back end of the car, and it will come back on you really quickly. After you've started steering the car in and it's starting to come around, you'll then throw the wheel the other way. So giving it a helping hand to do that counter steering. But you don't want to be trying to do any of that when you're just starting out.
Okay. All right.
That was
so we'll save this. We'll save this for a future
some of the most
episode
fun things.
entitled "Drifting for Not Quite a Dummy." Right. So, all right. So we've taught transitions. We've kind of taught all the basics. I've gone out. I've played with the boys. I've had some fun.
I think car modifications is next.
Car modifications. So like lock kit.
Nope.
Okay. Weld the diff.
Yep.
Not limited slip.
You can.
If it's a road car and you're going to be dailying it or using it more on the road and drifting every now and then, a good LSD is fine. As long as it locks up, that's what you need. You need the outside wheel to spin instead of just because if you get an open diff, your inside wheel spins and you just grip up.
Okay.
Is that right, Bryn? Is that the right way around?
Yeah. You don't want an open diff. Limited slip diff is not something I would recommend to people. You know, if you say you want to get into drifting, you want to do it cheap, welded diff is 100% the way to go. It's not the wrong choice. You can drift with an LSD. Mine's got a Torsen LSD, but it's a little bit more difficult and it's a little bit of a different style.
Okay. So it's actually faster, isn't it, than a welder?
It's much faster than a welder. But, you know,
that's
it's one of those things. If you just want to get in, make it easy, get a welder. If you've got a limited slip diff in your car, I probably wouldn't bother changing it out for a welder. But if you're sitting there going, what do I need to buy? I've got an open diff. Weld the fucker up.
Okay. All right. So...
what else can you think of?
Not like it's suspension. On a adjustable, depending on the track, no?
Probably again, if you've got it, it's good. I wouldn't rush out to buy adjustable suspension.
Okay.
Depending on what car you've got, you're probably going to want coilovers. If you've got a standard 350Z, they're pretty good out the box. You'll be all right. If you've got a standard MX-5, oh my God, those motherfuckers roll like nothing you've ever seen. They're so boaty. You don't want to stop.
I'm going to get in on this and utter the words. So I had the R Limited, which had the factory Bilsteins.
Very
That
good.
was
They'd be fine.
Still boaty to me as a grip driver.
They're still quite boaty, but I've driven a couple with the factory Bilsteins, and they are fine.
Also,
if you've ever driven a bone stock MX-5, damn, just
thanks to the guy who bought my factory Bilstein second hand and paid entirely for my brand new set of tines.
Wow.
So right.
So, Bam, should we make it easier? Should me and Bryn just list off what we think the top three? Top three for starting drifting. Top three. Bryn, you go for one.
Top three. So we've said welded diff.
That's so top two then it's going to be because welded
diff, Surikawa, neons.
Definitely a hydro. Don't fit a hydro to your MX-5. Not a hydro. So the other. It depends. So you're a little bit. Have you done some drift days now at this point?
Yeah.
Okay, we're not just like I've done my first playpen day. I'm going to build the car because fucking don't do that.
No, we've done the first drift day. You boys have taken me out. You've got me linking my figure eights.
Yep.
You've got me
perfect.
We've had a not perfect, like weird BAM style shit because it's never perfect when I'm involved. But. And you've had me out on track, and I've been playing with the boyos, maybe for a couple of sessions. But predominantly, I'm still in the playpen. I'm coming out every now and again because you guys he's probably not going to write our cars off.
Right. I would say it's kind of steering wheel.
Okay.
When I checked because that was from an OEM to an aftermarket wheel.
Okay.
Because that was the second modification I did to my car. First one was welded diff.
So on steering wheels, do I want deep dish? Do I want little? Do I want big? Do I want...
Whatever is comfortable for you. I like drifting a little bit closer to the wheel. Instead of grip driving I like my arms a little bit closer to me. So when I'm flicking it, I've got the leverage.
So grip driving, again, I drive closer to my chest. Partly because my chest's closer to the wheel naturally.
It's whatever's comfortable. That's the thing.
Yeah.
But the main thing was it changed how the car felt under my hands because the stock Mazda wheel was a bit floppy and a bit
huge as well, aren't they? They're like
so what Milton's basically said to everybody who's listening there is make sure you buy at least 3 steering wheels. Get one deep dish, get one little tiny wheel, get one big boaty boy, and then just feel it out. Right? Do what I do with the cars. Have quick releases on them all, and just swap whichever wheel you're feeling that day into your car.
I have actually got quick release and I do that. But anyway.
You're not the only one, Milton. I do it.
I've got a racing wheel and a drift wheel.
I think the only steering wheel that's permanently in a car is the Vertex in the Stagia. Mainly because I don't want someone to break a window and steal it while it's on its quick release.
Yeah. What's your second mod?
Well, where Bam said he was at there, probably not an awful lot. You want to do something about seat normally. You probably don't need to go to a bucket seat. If you want one anyway, bucket seat is grand. If you've got an MX-5, you can just defoam the seat. Get a CG lock, which is a little thing that goes on your normal seat belt. And you basically pull up on it and it locks the lap belt in. Because what you don't want to be doing is getting thrown all over, especially while you're flapping. Like that.
And for me and Bryn, small guys, especially when we jump in like a stock E46 or to show someone how to do it, it's very hard for us to do it because we need to be held in so we can control the car. If we're having to, you'll find yourself in a stock seat, you'll go home with big bruises on your knees because you're braced against the door in the tunnel trying to hold yourself while you're flapping about.
I think I've probably got an advantage here as a fat lad that the car just holds me in place with its general structure.
Yeah.
I've got a fantastic video somewhere of when we were going round in Nick's RX-8 with the standard leather seats. And the whole footage is just, whoa, whoa, yee, whoa, around It was horrendous.
All right. So we've got seat, steering wheel.
Coilovers, I would say, is the next one.
What was that, Milton?
Coilovers.
Okay.
And with that, buy the most expensive you can afford. Don't just buy eBay cheap ones that are...
But this gets back to what we've said before when we were talking about just starting out in general, is don't just go, I'm going to buy TA Technics. Go...
Don't. Because I was at the stage, I bought my wheel. I bought the car, did diff, then I did the wheel, and then I did the seat that's now in Bryn's car. And then the next thing I did was buy Meisters, but I bought them on, they did a deal on finance. Because I couldn't afford to spend £700, that's what it was, I bought the best I could with a deal, instead of buying Technics that I'd need to replace when my skill level, because they're bouncy and crashy. You see guys on cheap coilovers, they're going on the track and they're...
Technics are the, like... If I get sued, I don't care, because I'll take them to court and prove their shit. And the thing is, if you buy something like that, your Tines or your Meisters just cost you £1,000, because you'll go out on them, you'll do any kind of performance driving on them, and I suspect drifting is not that dissimilar from gripping in this respect. You'll go out on them and you'll go, oh, I fucked up, I really fucked up buying these, and you'll go, okay, I'm gonna take the plunge and I'm gonna spend the money. And you know, Meister do finance.
A lot of you can get finance on anything if you really want to.
Yeah, coilovers.
If you can't afford the lump sum.
Coilovers.co.uk definitely do finance, because they're owned by Tagiwa, who used to be an account of mine when I worked in finance. Been replaced since I left because they don't have an awesome account manager. But yeah, so I genuinely don't think there's any excuse for anyone running TA Technics. I just don't. That might be a little bit snobby, but
yeah.
But
the snob.
The thing that with me and Bruno have said, it's all about making you be able to drive better with the car as it is.
Yeah.
And I don't need to put an LS in it, and you don't need WiseFab.
Yeah.
You see, there's a massive difference between a driver that started with an MX-5 with stock lock and rubbish power than a person that started with a built car. Because
this is something I do in grip driving. It's gradually increase.
Yeah.
Because if you go from stock to fully modified, you don't know that car anymore. Whereas if you tweak one thing at a time, and I'm guessing you guys would probably say, Bam, just build a car like you build a car, right? In the fact that I'll build it and I'll do little steps, bit by bit, and gradually, and then eventually I'll like get an idiot idea.
But it's fine once you get to that point. You've got to build the car with you. Because the next thing I was going to say, when you said that this theoretical point you're at, you've done a few sessions. The next thing is going to be adding some steering lock, but not at that point. What you want to do is be realistic with yourself. Rack spaces is what you're going to do, but you're waiting for the point at which the steering lock of the car is holding you back from doing more, not because you're spinning out. If you're spinning out, you don't need more lock. You need to, drive a little bit more gently. Don't spin out.
Within your lock, yeah.
If you get to the point where you're actually wanting to do things and you run out of steering lock, that's when you start needing more. Chris was on rack spacers in his 350Z when we got promoted from Drift Cup to BDC. Still on just rack spacers. So basically stock lock. You don't need an angle kit.
Okay.
If you want one for fun, that's a different story. But
so
if you want one because you're spinning out, stop it.
Build to my skills is what we're saying.
Build to your skill.
I was in NA for 2 years. I needed lock rack spacers after about a year or so. Then when I was turboed, I think I was turbo on year 3-ish, I was on low boost on a very conservative low power. I didn't go to then high power turbo, for me and for my build, until like year 5-ish, because I only turned up when the car was holding me back. when I was flat on the throttle and I couldn't go any faster, it's because the car was holding me back, not because.
And then things like cages, etc., as you get into competition, as the regs require, I guess, right?
Yeah, even before competition, a lot of tracks require you to have a cage if you want to twin with people now.
Okay.
If you don't have a cage, you only get to go out on your own.
So,
Especially being a soft top car.
Pod isn't one of them, but you do have to have a roll cage if you want the roof down, or a roll hoop if you want the roof down.
Yeah, half cage.
So my next question is: so one of the first things I deal with when I'm drip roading is chassis stiffness. Is that do I want a floppy chassis? Do I not want a floppy chassis?
It depends on your drive. It's almost driving style because you look at Formula D. Sorry, Bryn. There's two Mustangs. They're Are they floppy or is it the suspension's floppy?
The suspension's floppy. They're a bit weird with their.
So
How
drive.
many people die every time they go out?
Not very often.
Because it's a Mustang.
Yeah,
It's a Mustang.
It's a Mustang joke, Bryn. You're right.
Yes.
They drive with they're almost three-wheeling, and at points it almost looks like they're doing a wheelie. They've got that much rear squat, and the wheels are cambered in. Their inside wheel is a lot of the time off the floor, so you'll see it going around a banked corner, and the left foot braking to balance the car. That front wheel will be locked up, will be still, and every time there's an undulation, it will scrape on the floor and look like it's locked up.
Okay, right, okay.
It's a different driving style. Almost. Is that right?
Chassis, not chassis, sorry. Roll cage as required by track.
Yeah.
Chassis depending on how you like to drive.
Yeah, it's generally the same rules as grip apply. If it makes your grip car grippier, it's going to make your drift car grippier.
Drift is about grip and managing it. It's not. You're not out of control. You're actually modulating your grip. That's why top teams use semi-slick tires.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is weird.
Yeah, that's a whole thing. But yeah, contrary to belief of people who look down upon drifting or don't really get it, when you start getting serious, you're trying to get as much grip out of the car as possible.
Probably more in the race car in grip sometimes, because they don't have aerodynamic grip. We don't, rather, whereas grip driving you do.
Okay, so just starting to round things out. We've done all this. We've got me. I'm maybe 3 years in now. Bryn has gone, Bam, you're not totally shit at this anymore. And Milton's gone,
you're all right, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. You're doing all right. Maybe you should have a go at competing with someone, right? So I'm gonna go to my first competition. Entry level. What competition am I in? And how are they going to score that? How do I win?
So
how do I be better than Chris at this point?
I'll take the first question, Bryn. You take the second.
Okay.
It's about how to score. So in the UK at the moment, or what I know of, competition-wise, there's two going at the moment. You've got UK DC, which is UK Drift Cup. Used to be called Drift Cup before. They took a year off because of COVID, blah, blah, blah. And now they've got they've got a feeder series for grassroots, getting started, anyone can enter.
Okay.
As long as your car's up to spec, which is a different question altogether.
Do I need a sponsor?
No.
Okay.
You pay your entry fee, you're in.
So I don't even need to ask the question, can I be my own sponsor?
Yeah.
Be your own sponsor?
Just a big old violent running livery down the side.
A lot of drivers will say their main job is they'll have that as a sponsor of the car because they do work on it from there anyway.
Yeah.
The other one is BDC. I believe, I haven't looked into it, but they're doing a feeder series as well.
Okay.
Similar specs. Get your foot in the door. Get your taste of competition drifting.
Okay. And then what? So how are they scoring it? Are we?
So.
Do I need to hope that Bryn's a judge?
I mean, at that level, there's no point in even worrying about who the judges are because
I'm losing.
Your only enemy is going to be yourself when you're starting out.
Okay.
But as we touched on earlier, it's essentially some judges are going to give you a line. They're going to say, here's a section of track that we want you to drive, and they're going to draw a line of where they want your car to be while drifting.
Okay.
In feeder series, you don't necessarily have to be drifting 100% of the time, but take it as a rule. You don't want to be going straight at any point. You want to keep the car sliding. If you lose drift, you're going to get deductions, but they won't penalize you that much. Whereas at the top level, if you lose drift, that's it. Your run's done. So they're going to give you this line, and there's going to be what are known as clipping points. So certain
apexes, but not.
Apex is if you're a grip driver, but they're not always on the inside. Sometimes they're on the outside, and they're basically going to say, we want to see an end of your car, the back end or the front end, at this clipping point. Okay? And so you're going to have practice, and you're going to be trying to hit this line, get as close to these clipping points as possible. You don't want to annihilate them. As we've said before, you want to just get close to them. And then you go to qualifying. You're going to get 2 runs to do your best run at that track. You want to hit as many clips as you can, get into those clips. You want to do the line. You want to do it smoothly, as fast as you can, with as much angle as you can. Don't, sacrifice being sideways to go fast. And they're going to score you on that. As we said, kind of out of 100, normally, you get more points for being close to the clips, high angle, high speed, putting on a show, a lot of smoke, stuff like that.
Yeah.
You'll lose points for things like wheels going off track, or your car straightening up, stuff like that. At the end of those 2 runs, your best score is the one that will be counted. And your, the top 32 normally people, but there are other numbers that can get through, will go through to the battles. That's how qualifying works.
Okay.
So it's fairly simple. It's just you going out there, trying to hit this line and put on a show.
So
doesn't matter how good you are in practice either. You could be doing a 100-point run every practice run, but if you don't do that in qualifying, it's tough.
Yeah, if you don't deliver on the day, you're screwed.
Yeah, and that's why we actually did really well in Drift Cup, is because Chris is quite consistent. He was never that wild as a driver, but he was always pretty good at being on that line.
Okay.
Pretty average.
Yeah, it was average, but that's what gets you. That's
gets you wins. Yeah.
Then you end up on the podium eventually.
Okay, so I'll make it through. I'll make it through quali.
Good job, Bam.
Well done.
I've done it. I've got through. Bryn was a judge. It helped.
No, I was your spotter. Spotter's a key.
All right,
that's a separate subject.
Spotter, right? So spotter, right? So you're on. Hang on. You've got one of these, and I've got one of these.
Yep.
In the car.
But mine's just on loud and clipped to my sun visor.
Yep.
And you go. What?
Well, Bryn, just explain what spotter is.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, that was me going.
Yeah,
I mean, essentially, in grip driving, you know if you're doing well because you've got a stopwatch. You can find out if you've gone faster. Because this is a judged sport, it's all about what it looks like on the outside. No matter how good a driver you think you are, you don't know what it looks like from the outside. You can get an idea, I was close to that clipping point, but you don't really know how close, how much space you had to the end of the track. So you tend to bring a friend, a spotter, whose job is to watch your run and critique it. And after your run, when you're all full of adrenaline, like, yeah, I absolutely nailed that, their job is to get on the radio and go, okay, you got clip 1, you were really close to it. You missed clip 2. I think you could go a bit wider into the next section. And this person helps you choreograph what the judges are looking for, because you can't tell in the car what it looks like. Okay. That is their job. They are your eyes on the outside.
Think of Formula 1, and you see they're on the radio all the way around getting, okay, you've got Grosjean behind you with 6 seconds, but he's on old tyres and feeding you information. When you get to top level, spotters don't just watch your run, they watch other drivers run and go, right, this guy, he does a lap, he does the section in 8 seconds or 25, whatever.
Yeah.
So say if you get him in battle, right, you did it in this time. Okay, he's actually a bit faster than you. So when you're chasing him, you're going to have to be as fast as you can, or he's really, really slow. So you need to be able to check yourself up. And then you can then do tyre adjustments and car adjustments to counter that.
Okay.
It gets very, very technical at the top level.
Yeah.
All right, so wicked.
Grassroots, you just want to say, did you do the line? Yes or no, kind of thing.
Cool. So, I think that's drifting for dummies. I think that's taken me right up to the point I'm competing.
A bit more to go, but yeah.
Yeah, there's still a battle, mate. You've not done your first battle.
All right. Yeah, but I'm competing. I'm not gonna win straight out of the gate.
That is true. You might not.
I'm gonna accept. I'm not gonna win straight out of the gate, right?
Just because you qualified once doesn't make you a pro drifter.
No, exactly. So we are going to end drifting for dummies.
That was really controversial, by the way, Ben, what I just said.
I don't care.
And it doesn't mean that you get to qualify for other events just because you did once in 2015.
Okay, right, okay. So, all I'm gonna say on that subject is, I'm not gonna win my first battle, so we're not gonna talk about that. I'm gonna suck at it. The pressure's all going to get too much from my fat ass. I think we've kind of covered off drifting for dummies, getting started. Because if you go, if we tell people they're going to win their first battle, if they've been drifting for like a year or two, and they go out and go, well, I didn't win, and they said I'd win, then someone might
really
sue us,
quick
and
wrap
I can't
up, Bryn.
afford that at the moment.
It doesn't also necessarily mean you don't have to do 3 years of practice and then go compete.
Yeah.
You could just keep having fun on practice days. You don't have to compete. That's not the end goal.
No.
The end goal is,
and that's kind of the other reason I don't want to go into battles. Is I think if I'm going to do this right, and this is a really important point. So after we wrap this up and we say goodbye to all the fans, what we're going to do is we're going to stay on this and we're going to try and sweet talk Amy into letting me have a fourth car. Because we've already established I don't have an E36, right? On the grounds that I need to go and play with the boyos. And then
with the boys.
We'll see.
10% power.
And we'll see how much I suck at not grip driving.
The good thing is get a simulator. We talked about it in our video game special. Yeah. You get yourself whatever car you want. You can set the power, set the lock, blah, blah, blah. And you could just keep going and going. And you could do thousands of hours of seat time without costing you a penny.
Other than buying a sim and steering wheel and...
I worked it out. I bought a new wheel because I wanted to upgrade.
Yeah.
So I think it's cost me about £9 an hour. That for the amount of playtime I've got out of it to how much it costs. And that number will always get smaller. So eventually, when you've done 200 hours in a game, it cost me 350 quid.
I mean, a drift day will cost you 150 quid all in. Ticket, tyres.
200. Yeah. Depends on your... If you're killing tyres and it's boiling hot day, and you do 2 tanks of fuel, hotel, you've got the missus there, so you need to buy her dinner afterwards because...
You've just spent a shitload of money on yourself.
She's sat in a car all day or it's pissing down rain.
Yeah.
It's going to be 200-300 quid a day.
No, that's fair. All right. So yeah, I think we call that drifting for dummies. I think that's done. So thanks everybody that's watched. As per, if you've watched all the way to the end, congratulations. They're just that side of you now, Milton. They're just down the side when it's 3 of us. Yeah. There you go. Keep going. There we go. All of them. Still stickers for the website. New drop will probably land next week for the limited editions. There's a really nice Mount Fuji sticker that I've done that I'm quite proud of myself on. And hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. We have recently turned up today is some new bits for the camera kit. So I'm going to get my dead cat out, and there's going to be some other content other than the podcast starting to come again that we're working on. So again, smash subscribe, even if you don't.
We've got a good series planned for later this year.
Got a brilliant series planned around Milton and Formula G.
Really good.
We've probably got a whole series in Bryn 3D prototyping parts as well at some point, because he's been working away like a magical little Bryn leprechaun. Yeah, exactly. We'll get him a green hat and everything. That'll be his new company logo. So thanks to everyone who's watched. Does mean loads to us. About 58% of you are subscribed. 42% aren't. Just hit the button. You're watching every week. Just press the button. Please. It makes me sad when you don't. Also, it means that 42% of you are not being efficient with your time. What you're doing is you're searching for us every week. So anyway, I've been Bam. That's been Bryn. He's been Milton.
Toodles.
Thanks for watching. Have a good week. We'll catch you on the other side of whatever next week is.
February.
Oh, it's Valentine's episode next week, isn't it?
Oh, great. I need a wee. Desperately.